Hi, I'm Pinquin402, aka Taylor, and in this video today, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 worst video games in history. And these are just my opinions. Just my opinion. If you have one that you think is worse than what I picked, then that's fine. But I know I haven't done like a gameplay video in a while. I haven't really been in the mood to do a gameplay video, and I'll try to do one next week if I can, but it may or may not work out. So, without further ado, I'm going to start off this list, and I'm going to do from 5 to 1. I'm going to build up the suspense and all that, because I love doing that. Number 5. This one I haven't played, but I've seen gameplay footage of it, and it looks terrible, and I've heard so many people say so many bad things about it, and that's Pac-Man for the Atari 2600. This game, I've seen, like I said, I've seen gameplay footage of it, and it's terrible. No one should ever play this game. No one should ever play it, because the gameplay looks just awful. Looks awful. If you've ever played a Pac-Man game, you know what I'm talking about. You know how Pac-Man works. You know what it looks like. This one looked completely different from Pac-Man. They had to, like, from what I read online, they had to, like, fix it up, like, change the design and all that to fit, like, Atari's, like, limitations or requirements or whatnot. They couldn't have, like, I guess what was in the arcade. They couldn't have, like, the arcade version on the Atari 2600 because I guess it wouldn't work. It looked totally different, so they had to change some things and alter it. So I'll give them credit for that. I'll give them credit because they had to change it. I understand. I understand they had to change it, but that's no excuse. You should not make a terrible game. You should not do that. You should not. If you knew that you weren't going to be able to make it the way that people have always seen it, which was the arcade version, if you knew you couldn't bring that over to the Atari 2600, why did you do it in the first place? That's my question, Atari. But that's my number 5. Number 4, I've actually played. I played it. I didn't play the actual, like, one that was on the console, but, like, I saw it online. And heard about it online because I was on Smosh Games. I was watching one of their videos, and it was like their Why We're Single video, like what movies should be made into video games. And I mentioned Halloween, the original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. Well, apparently they've already made that game. They've done 2. I haven't seen the first one. I mean, I haven't seen the second one, but I played the original and it was for the Atari 2600, and that's my number 4. Terrible game. I've played it. I've seen people play it. It's terrible. It should have never been made. It was like a 2D, like 2D game, and like you were in this house and you walked, like you were playing as like Lori, I think it was. I don't remember. It's been a little while since I played it. But you were playing as, like, I think Lori, or you were playing as someone, and like the whole object of the game was to escape Michael Myers and not get killed by him. And basically, he would come running after you, but it didn't look like Michael Myers. It looked like just someone with like a mask on, but it wasn't even a good mask. It was just terrible, and like he would come up behind you and you would try to run away from him, and then he'd do like this weird run, but it wasn't really like a run. It was just terrible. Terrible. That game should have never been made. The idea for the game was you could either play as a babysitter, play as like one of the babysitters, or one of the people trying to escape from Michael Myers, and like you have to go through this house and try to kill him. You're trying to kill him. You're trying to like mess with him, like trying to hunt him down, like you're trying to escape from him, essentially. And it'd be kind of like the movie where you're trying to escape from him, but then but you could also, or you could play as Michael Myers. If you wanted to, you could play as Michael Myers, and you could kill as many people as you wanted to. I mean, I think I would play that game. I would most likely play as the one trying to kill Michael. That would be most likely what I would do, is play as play as a babysitter survivor person trying to kill him, because I think it'd be awesome, because I don't think I could play as Michael, because I'm not as ruthless, or I couldn't kill someone unless it was someone I didn't like, one that I'd rather not say, because people might come after me, and not the people that you would think would come after me. But that's for another day. It's for another time. But that's what my idea was. And like, also it could be, you could do like a single player mode where you could play as like a survivor. You could like choose like which mode you want to play as, and like you could choose to be like the survivor trying to kill Michael, or you could play as the killer. You could play as Michael and go throughout the game and play. And then like you'd have like a multiplayer mode, kind of like Dead by Daylight. If you guys have ever played that game, I've never played it, but I've seen like Sohinki play it, and like Smosh Games play it, and it looks like a really fun game, and it looks like something that like I would play, because I love horror movies, and that's basically what it is. It's like a survival horror game, and like there's a mod that someone made of like where you could play as Michael Myers, and like one person can play as Michael Myers, and the rest are like all like runners, and you got like escape like do all the what are they called, generators, and then escape, like fix all the generators, get all the generators working, and then escape. It would be similar to that, except like you wouldn't be in a enclosed space. You'd be in Haddonfield, Illinois, and you would be trying to escape him and also trying to kill him at the same time. It would have that Dead by Daylight feeling to it, but it wouldn't be Dead by Daylight. But it'd be awesome. I would play that game so much. My mom would be like, "You're gonna get nightmares," and I wouldn't care. But the one for the Atari 2600 was terrible. Terrible. The graphics were terrible. Just everything about the game was terrible. It shouldn't have been made. It shouldn't have been made. Because there was no way for you to like try to kill him. There was no way to kill him, because he was just chasing after you, and you just had to survive. And like there was no time limit on it either, so it was just like 2 stories. You were just in a 2-story house, and you couldn't go through any of the doors. You couldn't go through any of the doors. The only person that could go through the doors were Michael, and it was completely pointless. I hated that game. Number 3 is it's an Aquaman game. It's Aquaman. Hey, let me see what it's called. I know what it's called. It's like Aquaman. I just had it. Aquaman Battle for Atlantis. It came out in the 2003. I don't remember what console it was on, but I've never played it, but I've seen like gameplay footage of it, because like WatchMojo.com talked about it. They talked about it because they did like their top 10 list of like worst video games of all time, and this one was up there. And like I saw gameplay footage of it, and they talked about it, and they said how crappy it was, and like how the motion control, like the whole control, I don't know what it was, but like just the control, like how you controlled the characters and all that, how you controlled Aquaman, it just didn't feel right. Like the controls weren't, and like I saw it, and like I saw the gameplay footage of it, and And I get like motion sickness sometimes. Like when I played like Super Mario 64, I couldn't play that game for like more than an hour because I'd get like a stomach ache and a headache, and I felt like I was going to be sick. And that's what happened when I watched that Aquaman Battle for Atlantis. When I watched that on WatchMojo.com, when I watched it on their channel, I was like, I wouldn't be able to play this game. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to play it because I would get sick. And it's like, it just the controls were crappy. The graphics weren't the best. And it was just terrible overall because of how the gameplay was. The gameplay was terrible. Gameplay was terrible, and it made you feel like you were going to have motion sickness. So, terrible game. Should have never been made. And like I don't think Aquaman should. I love Aquaman. Hold on. Back. Hold on. I just got this yesterday. I'm a huge Aquaman fan. And I got this yesterday from a local bookstore in Tulsa called Gardner's. And I love Aquaman. I do. I love Aquaman. I love Wonder Woman. I love Superman. But I feel like Aquaman is that one superhero, other than Flash and a few other ones out there like Green Arrow, maybe Green Arrow, that shouldn't have their own video game. Like more specifically, Aquaman shouldn't have his own video game. He shouldn't have his own video game because the gameplay would be terrible and give people motion sickness. And that's what this one did. It gave me motion sickness. So that's my number 3. Number 2, this one is going to be controversial because you guys are going to say, no, number 1 should be this one. No, this one should be number 1. I honestly don't care. I honestly could care less. This one, the reason why I put it number 2, I'm kind of a little biased towards it because I love this character, and hold on one more second. I just got another Superman comic book from the same place that I got Aquaman, and that is Gardner's, and I'm talking about Superman for the N64. That game, although it was terrible, I will admit it was terrible. I never played it, but I saw gameplay footage of it, and it was terrible. And the graphics weren't the best, and it was super glitchy. It shouldn't have been made, but I feel like it was better than my number 1. I feel like it's better than the one I have for number 1. And here's why. Although the graphics weren't the best, and the game and it was glitchy, it was still somewhat playable. You could still play it somewhat, and it wasn't that terrible. It wasn't too terrible to the point where you couldn't play it. It was unplayable, like completely unplayable. It was just like super glitchy. It was mostly glitchy, and I feel like if whoever created it, if they would have maybe, I don't know, fixed the glitchiness of it and maybe fix the graphics a little bit, it would be better. I feel like the game needs to be rebooted and just like fixed. They just need to fix all the problems with it, and it would be a great game. But that's about it. But my number 1 is E.T. the Extraterrestrial for the Atari 2600. The reason why this is number 1 is because I've never played it, but I've seen gameplay footage of it, and I saw Kids React play it. And they played it, and they were getting frustrated just by playing it. They were like, "This is so unplayable. I can't play it. This is annoying." Like they dropped into one of the holes, and they were just trying to get out of the hole, and they couldn't even get out of the hole. The graphics were terrible on it, and the game. The reason why, this is the main reason why I picked it for number 1. Picked it for number 1 because not only was the graphics terrible and the gameplay terrible, but it also ruined gaming. It's the reason why gaming almost didn't exist in America, in North America. And while I do agree that it shouldn't have been made, I also agree that it should have been made because of that game. We learned from our mistakes, learned from our mistakes of how games should be made. We learned from that, and also we got the NES, and the NES saved gaming. So if it wasn't for Atari ruining gaming, we probably would have never gotten the NES. We probably would have never gotten the Super Mario Brothers. Who knows what would have happened? But I think that game was just so terrible that like it ruined gaming. Yeah, a lot of people bought it, but then a lot of people threw it out. They played maybe like 10 or 15 minutes of it and then threw it out. They didn't play very much of it and then they threw it out. And like I saw a picture online of an Atari like case, like it was Atari 2600 case of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and it was like in this pile of rubble, and I'm like, yeah, you can tell when a game's that terrible when people buy it and then they throw it out because it's not that great. And the game was just so terrible. The graphics were terrible. It was a game that I understand why they made it. I understand why they made it. They made it because to capitalize on the popularity of Steven Spielberg's movie E.T. the Extraterrestrial. And while I can agree with that, like you're trying to capitalize on it, but it shouldn't have been made. It shouldn't have been made. There are some like movies out there that would be great as video games. There are great ones out there that would be great as video games, like John Cena's 12 Rounds. That one would be a great video game because you would have to go through these 12 difficult rounds in order to save the love of your life. And it wouldn't be like Super Mario Brothers. It wouldn't be like that, or it wouldn't be like Sonic. It wouldn't be like that. It would just be like more of like a puzzle type game, but it wouldn't be. It'd have like puzzle elements to it, but it would be like the way I would make it is if you failed on like round like on the last round would be you'd have to fight Miles. And that'd be the boss fight. That'd be the end. It'd be the boss fight against you and Miles, and you would and if you got to like round 12 and you barely got past like the other rounds, you barely got past them, and then like you died at like Miles kills you. You have to go back and start all over again. It'd be like this like very rage-inducing game. That's what it would be. I mean, that would be a great game. There are tons of movies out there that would be great as video games, but then there are movies like E.T. the Extraterrestrial that would not be great as a video game. I mean, like, it just wouldn't, and it didn't work. So, and I think that's the reason why, like, in my opinion, I think with E.T. the Extraterrestrial, with that game, and with like Halloween and with Pac-Man, I think those games were the reason why Atari stopped making consoles. They stopped making consoles because those games were so crappy, and they just were like, we're just gonna focus on games. We're gonna focus on making games because we're focusing too much on making a console and not making games. We're not focused on making games. We're focused on making a console, and that's why our consoles aren't doing so well, because we're putting out crappy titles for them. So I think that's like one of the reasons, and also the Atari Lynx was also a big reason too. No one wanted it. It was a great handheld. My dad owned it. My dad had it. Me and my family used to play on it all the time. But now it's like it's not even a great. Now it's like now that I think about it, it still was a great handheld, but that also contributed to Atari just making games because no one wanted the links, even though it was in color. It was in color. They wanted the Game Boy because the Game Boy had the games. Nintendo had all the games for the Game Boy, and Atari couldn't get any third-party games. And I'm kind of worried for Nintendo right now because I was kind of worried for Nintendo when the Wii U came out because there was hardly any third-party games on there. You had like a few of them on there, but not really. Like you had Just Dance on there, and like a few, and like Minecraft and like Terraria, but nothing like huge. There was like no Call of Duty or anything like that on there. There was no like third party game, and they were just putting out all first party titles, and you kind of fail when you don't have third party titles. But I like what Nintendo's doing now because they got the Switch out and they're coming out with all these like these third party games for their consoles. Like they just released Bomberman, Super Bomberman R. That's a third party title. They're I believe it's EA who made Skyrim, but they're coming out with Skyrim for the Switch. And then they're also doing Puyo Tetris, which is another third-party title. Just Dance, they have that out, and that's a third-party title. So they're coming out with quite a few third-party titles. They've got a lot of third-party developers on their side now, because I feel like with the Switch, because of the way the Wii U, because of the way the Wii U was made, they weren't able to, like, they tried getting third-party developers, but third-party developers couldn't develop any games for the Wii U because of the way the Wii U was set up, the way the interface was, and the way all of that was. It was just hard to make a game for it. So I'm hopeful for Nintendo for this time around. I mean, they sold out the Switch before he was even like put out on market. Like they sold out just pre-sales. They were selling it like hotcakes, and then now like I'm trying to find a Switch because I'm saving my money for a Switch. And I'm trying to find one, and I can't find one at any Walmart. I've looked like everywhere for one, and I can't find one. So I'm hoping that like for Christmas, if I don't have enough money for Christmas, I'm hoping that I can get it for my birthday. I mean, I hope like if I don't have enough money for Christmas, I'm hoping that my parents will get it for me for Christmas. Probably not, because my mom will be like, "Oh, you've already got a console. You've already got a Wii. Why do you want a Switch?" And like I'll bring up the fact that I can take it anywhere I want. I can take it on the go. Me and you can play some games together. We can play Tetris together. Me and my sister can play Bomberman together, Super Bomberman R together, or me and my dad can. Or all three of us can. We all three play Super Bomberman R. And like they're coming out with some games that like they have one that's called Snipper Clips. I've seen it. I've seen people play it, and I think it's already out now. And I've seen that game, and that game looks so much fun, and it looks like a game that my mom would play, because my mom's not really a gamer, like she is, but she's not like a huge gamer like I am, or like my dad, or my sister, or my cousin. She's not like a huge gamer like us, but she does play a few games here and there, like mostly like apps, like she mostly plays like app games, and she does play the Wii occasionally. But like when she does play like a game, it's mostly like it's mostly puzzle games, and that's basically what Snipper Clips is. It's a puzzle game. Like you play as like a paper with like legs, and like you have to catch yourself, or you have to have someone cut you into a certain shape, and you have like an objective to do, and you have to be cut into a certain shape in order to complete that objective. Like you may have like one where you have to get the basketball into like a hoop, into a basketball hoop, or you have to like get the basketball to one side to the other without dropping it. And so you have to figure out how to do that by cutting a piece of paper. You can grow yourself back, and like I've seen gameplay footage of it. It looks awesome. I'm hopeful for it, and that's what I tell my mom. I'd be like, there's some games that you would play on there, so it'd be something for the family. And also, I want Breath of the Wild. I just want to play Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Super Bomberman R, Splatoon 2, Slipper Clips, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like just all those games. I might be forgetting one, and I'm like blanking because I think I am forgetting one, but oh, and Arms is one that I'm like, that's the one I'm like really looking forward to, along with Super Bomberman R, because I haven't really played a Bomberman game. I played like knockoff Bomberman games, but I've never played an actual Bomberman game, like a real Konami Bomberman game, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm super pumped up for it. So I'm hopefully you're gonna get that, and I'm also looking forward to 1-2 Switch. My mom would like that game too, because that game, like a lot of people were upset about it. They were like, "Oh, that game shouldn't have been made like it should have been like the Wii should have been like Wii Sports where it was like packaged with it. It should we shouldn't have to pay to buy the game. It should come with the Switch." And while I kind of agree with that, it looks more like a game that should have been a package deal with the Switch, like the Wii Sports was. But that's all I have for you today. Post in the comments below what you think are the worst video games of all time are. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!